A to Z with Mark Zinno, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, and it starts now.
Good afternoon. Welcome to A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, where today I tell you your decisions will decide your fate. Welcome in. We are live here on this Thursday, and NFL Thursday football is back. We'll get to that coming up in a moment. Give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On ATL. Of course, I'm at Mark Zinno, MarkZinno. Not only that, coming up on the show, I'll give you my full NFL season predictions. Every team, their spot in the division, wild cards, playoffs, Super Bowl champion, all coming up right here today on the show. Plus, one more case for Spencer Strider to start game 2 of the baseball playoffs when they get there. So we'll do all that coming up here on the show today. Wanted to start with the Atlanta Falcons because they held a practice at Mercedes Benz Stadium yesterday, and it was one of those things where Arthur Smith continues to try and shake things up and continues to try and get these players in a narrative or in a place mentally that was different where they were to start last season. Arthur Smith clearly realizes how important it is for this team to have a good showing in week 1. Not necessarily win, but they can't get their asses kicked at home again in week 1. Like, it just can't happen 2 years in a row. People are going to remember that, and he knows that. And he's got to have a better showing than he did last year against the Philadelphia Eagles. So he is super focused, hyper-focused right now on this team being better in week 1. That was the reason for the practice there. Get used to being in the stadium, get used to the mindset and everything else. And we'll see how it shakes out. Look, there's no guarantee that they are going to be competitive against the Saints. I think they are. But as I've said routinely, this is a team that needs to play pretty much mistake-free football in all 17 games if they hope to have a shot to win more than they lose. Mistakes will kill this team. You think what happened in the first play in the game against the Jets where Kyle Pitts was severely underthrown, and instead of it being a touchdown, it's a 53-yard gain. They settle for a field goal. You do that in week 1 against the Saints, you're losing. That's what it boils down to. This team doesn't have the ability to make mistakes. They can't let anything slip through. They have to take advantage of every opportunity. That's what happens when you have a less talented roster and less talented players than your opponent on a routine basis. And also, by the way, when you don't have high-level quarterback play, which could pretty much pull you out of anything. So there is a certain amount of little room for error that this team is going to have to deal with all year long. And you're going to hear me point out the mistakes. You're going to hear me point out the critical moments in a game where they could have won, should have won, could have taken advantage, should have taken advantage, and didn't. Because I think it's important to understand those moments and how they got where they are. So there's that. In the bigger picture, and we'll see this in week 1, here's the other thing, and this is what I said about the decisions shaping the future. I'll tell you what that is in a moment. First, a word from our friends at Built Bar and BuiltBar.com. Folks, the newest Built Bar Puffs flavor is out, and it is delicious. Cookie dough chunk puffs. They have a chewy texture, real cookie dough chunks. They're light and tasty without the hassle of dealing with all the extra calories and all the extra fatty. These bars are delicious, and they're good for you. Cookie dough chunk puffs are 160 calories and a whopping 15 grams of protein. That's collagen protein, which your body easily digests and absorbs more efficiently and provides you with tons of different health benefits. So these are the snacks you want to go grab when you're feeding something sweet, but you don't want all the guilt and you don't want all the bad, unhealthy stuff for you. You get Built Bar cookie dough puffs. Amazing and absolutely worth it. Go to Built.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDON15 to get 15% off your first order. Again, Built.com, promo code LOCKEDON15 to get 15% off your first order. Here's the other piece of what's going to manifest itself in game 1 and throughout the entire year. And we've talked a little bit about this from a different standpoint, but how much are these draft picks and these rookies and these undrafted free agents that the Falcons have signed and put on this roster, how much are they going to make an impact? How much are they going to play? You know, I was having a conversation with a colleague, and I was curious. I said, you think Arnold Ebiketie, their second round draft pick, is going to be a situational pass rusher, or will he be more than that? And he kind of said, well, they expect him to play more often than not, but I think initially he'll be situationally a pass rusher. And I said, well, I'm going to be counting snaps for Ebiketie and when he's on rundowns versus passing downs. 3rd and 7th, likely a passing down. 2nd and 8 might be more of a running down kind of deal, or 1st and 10, obviously. So I'm curious to see where that goes. And I'm curious to see, what does Troy Anderson do? D'Angelo Malone, Tyler Algier, all these guys that they drafted. They have to be able to make some level of impact. And we said this routinely about Richie Grant, who was last year's second-round pick, the 40th overall. That was the litmus test for the Falcons, right? That was the litmus test for Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith. Can they draft guys? Can they find guys in later rounds? Because if you can't do it in the 2nd and 3rd round, guess what? The chances of you do it in the 5th and 6th round are even more slim. It's hard to get 5th and 6th round picks to amount to much anyway. But if you can't do it with 2nd round picks and 3rd round picks, guess what? We're screwed in the 5th and 6th round. So from that standpoint, again, those guys that I just named, all those players that we haven't seen much of in the preseason, haven't seen much yet. How much are they going to play in the regular season? How much of an impact are they going to have? Are they any good? These are the things that get this team out of a rebuild quicker. If Tyler Algier can be a bell cow back, if D'Angelo Malone can be a real pass rusher, if Arnold Ebiketie can set the edge, stop the run, and get after the quarterback, if Desmond Ridder, when we see when he plays and what he is, if he is the quote quarterback of the future, that's what gets this team out of the rebuild. And even go back to last year again. You're talking more about Kyle Pitts ascending, Richie Grant, Michael Walker, all these guys that were supposed to be foundational pieces. If they start to develop into that, guess what? The Falcons get out of this rebuild sooner rather than later. But if those guys are 2, 3, 4-year developmental pieces, rebuild's going to drag on. Again, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the guy who takes 2 or 3 years to really get his feet under him and become a viable starter in the league. But guess what? When you're in a rebuild, you don't have that kind of time. It's okay when you're the Ravens and it takes 3 years for a linebacker to be, a guy that everybody wants, like C.J. Mosley was a couple of years ago in free agency, or Matt Judon. It's okay when you're a team that wins and goes to the playoffs. It's okay when you're, the Patriots, or we're the Patriots with Tom Brady. It's okay now when you're the Rams if it takes a guy that you pick in the 5th round 2 or 3 years to develop. You have that sort of clout. It's okay. When you're in the middle of a rebuild, when you're the Lions, when you're the Falcons, when you're the Texans, you need guys to be good now. That's it. Otherwise, you just keep drafting more players and you're waiting for the one that pops and shows up and says, okay, we finally got a player. Now we can build around somebody. They got that in A.J. Terrell. They can start to build around. You have that in Kyle Pitts. You're pretty sure you do. You're like 99% sure you do. If he takes a downturn this year, it'd be one of the more surprising things I think we've seen in quite some time. So, but that's what's on the line here in week 1. Can those guys make an impact? That's not only week 1, but big picture. And if they struggle in week 1 and get beat up again, it's fair to start to question the process and the preparation process, because that'll be the first question I ask Arthur Smith in his Monday press conference. All the things you did differently to prepare, why didn't they come to fruition the way you had thought? We'll find out on Sunday. All right, coming up next, NFL predictions for the 2022 season, all of them. Get your pens and papers out, boys and girls. Take some notes. We'll try to make you some money next, right here on A to Z, on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Search. Welcome back to A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Search Locked On Sports Atlanta. Give me a follow on Twitter, at Mark Zinno, MarkZinno, at Locked On ATL. Of course, follow all the shows here on the network. This is A to Z, Hitting Hard with John Chuckery, ATL Day Ones, Tanisha Batiste, and Jarvis Davis. Don't forget about our Braves postcast. We have Locked On Falcons, Locked On Hawks, Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, folks. Give us a thumbs up on all the content we have there. Some great stuff out there for you guys to check out and follow. Appreciate all the love and support. Okay, let's get to NFL season predictions here. I will go down each conference, each division, put each team in a spot. I'll give you the wild cards that I believe, conference champions, and a Super Bowl winner. And here we go. Starting in the AFC in the East, Bills are going to win the division. Clearly, I don't think there's any doubt with that. They are the best team in that division, and you'll see that tonight on Thursday Night Football. And this is a team right now probably with the prohibitive MVP favorite in Josh Allen. They've got a great defense. There's no reason not to like the Bills. And one of the heaviest favorites we've seen to win the Super Bowl outright at the beginning of the year in a very, very long time. And they're down to like plus 400 at 4-1 to win the Super Bowl. So give the Dolphins in second place. They probably take second place because New England's going to regress and the Jets aren't going to be very good. From that standpoint, again, it's almost like a default put for the Dolphins in second place. Do I think they're above 500? Yeah, maybe 9-8, maybe 10-7, but that's about it. I don't know if they are much better than that. This is still a team that needs a running game, and quarterback play is suspect. I could be dead wrong on Tua, but until I see some level of elevated play, I'm going to hold on moving the Dolphins into a certain place where I think that they are that competitive. Over to the AFC West. Guys, I've been telling you about the Raiders for a while. I'm not sure how much more I need to pump this up, but the Raiders are going to win the AFC West. They are that good. Their secondary is suspect. That could be a problem, but guess what? All the defenses, with the exception of Denver, in that division have some holes in them. So I'm not too worried about this secondary, but they're going to score a ton of points on offense. KC's going to finish second. Denver will finish third. And oh, by the way, all three of those teams are going to be better than 500. Little sneak preview of who wild cards are going to be. I think all those teams are above 500. I have the Chargers in last in the division. Until I see the Chargers do anything, I'm not going to back them to do anything. I think their head coach has become a liability now after what we saw from last season. They have a highly talented roster, but guess what? Talented rosters are great. Yeah, the Eagles one year had a dream team. Remember that? They missed the playoffs altogether. So I can't back the Chargers financially with any money until I see it happen. So it's one thing to talk about them from a game-to-game basis, whether I like to bet on them, but as far as making the playoffs or a season win total or whatever, nope, can't do it until I see something better. So AFC North, Baltimore wins that division. Should have won it last year. Decimated with injuries. That won't happen again. Baltimore is the best team in that division. They're the best roster in that division. Probably have the best quarterback in that division. In fact, I think they have the best quarterback in that division, save Deshaun Watson when he's playing a full season. That said, I like the Ravens a lot this year. Cincinnati finishes in second. Pittsburgh finishes a close third. And I think Cincinnati is like 10-7 and Pittsburgh is like 9-8. It's like one game difference. And that could flip-flop depending on who wins the regular season matchups, the two divisional games between Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. We're going to find out one of them in week one. By the way, take the Steelers plus 6.5. That said, Cleveland finishes in last. They won't win enough games without Deshaun Watson, and there won't be much season left for them to win with Deshaun Watson. So by default, this is the best division in football. But by default, I think that Cleveland ends up finishing in last this year. Somebody has to. Doesn't mean they're a bad team. It just means the rest of the division is really, really good. AFC South, Indianapolis will win that division. Matt Ryan going back to the playoffs in a different color uniform. Tennessee finishes second. Houston finishes third, and Jacksonville finishes last. And you're going, Zinno, what? How could Houston's going to be better than more competitive than people think? And I don't think Jacksonville's going to be very good yet. We'll see. Is Doug Peterson that good of a coach? Maybe. I don't know. But we'll find out one way or another. All right, over to the NFC. But first, a word from our friends at Coffee AM. Every morning, guys, it's my routine. Lock, stock, and barrel. Get up, hit the Keurig, drop some Coffee AM in, and I'm ready to go for the day. It is delicious. It is fresh. It is amazing tasting coffee, and you need to get yourself some. They have flavors from all over the world, different blends from different countries, flavored coffees, espressos, teas. They got it all. And everything is so fresh because they roast it and ship it on the same date or very close to it. And they only roast current crop specialty grade coffees. So again, you know this stuff is going to be good. When you get that box in the mail, you open it up, the smell is going to remind you of how fresh this coffee is. Here's what you do. Go to coffeeam.com/locked-on. Check out the full list of coffees, teas, and gift sets there. Make sure you use the promo code locked-on at checkout. Again, coffeeam.com/locked-on and use the coupon code locked-on to get 15% off at checkout of your first order of coffees, teas, and gift sets. Coffee AM, the best small batch coffee roaster in America. Okay, on to the NFC. In the NFC East, I'm going to give the nod to Dallas just based off experience, better quarterback play, and a very talented roster. I know people are down on Dallas. I'm not saying Dallas is going to win the Super Bowl. Spoiler alert, I don't have them winning the Super Bowl this year, but they're still better than the Eagles, and they're good enough to beat the Eagles. What does Nick Sirianni and the Eagles do with Jalen Hurts? I don't know. It is one of the more perplexing teams and tough teams to handicap this entire year. I think Jalen Hurts is good. I don't know if he's great. I think their running game is going to be fantastic again, but how much of that is going to be Jalen Hurts? I don't know. There's a lot of question marks about this team, and defensively, can they stop anybody? The Eagles are a team that play great with the lead and terrible from behind. That's who they were last year. That's who they're going to be again. So I have the Eagles in second. I have the Commanders in third, the Giants in last. The Commanders, I am quietly high on. I love Carson Wentz. You guys know that. I think he's super talented, and he's going to be able to elevate them. It's just a question if that defense gets right. Chase Young's going to miss the first 4 games. If he comes back and the defense is good, guess what? Washington is going to be very, very competitive. NFC West, San Francisco wins the division. Another very talented team and a very, very good defense. One of the better play callers and coaches and schemers in the league. I don't think Trey Lance is going to be asked to do that much. I think they have enough weapons around him that whatever he is going to be asked to do is going to be more than enough for them to win games, especially with a defense of the running game like they have. Rams finish second, Cardinals finish third, and of course, Seattle finishes last in the NFC West. Over to the NFC North, Vikings winning that division. Yes, folks, I'm backing them to do it. In fact, I put my own money on it at plus 250. When I flew home to New York, first thing I did when I landed, pulled up the app, put the money down, bam, let's go Vikings. Skol, as they say. But anyway, so I like the Vikings a lot. Very, very talented team. They fixed the back end of their defense, and they have a solid pass rush now. Danielle Hunter, Zadarius Smith, they're going to be really, really tough on defense. And they finally have a coach right now who can accentuate this offense to a much better level than what it was. Watch what happens to this Vikings offense with the guy who was under Sean McVay and Kevin O'Donnell, something Irish, whatever. But anyway, I always confuse him with Mike McDaniel in Miami and Kevin O'Connell. Anyway, regardless, the Vikings are going to be very, very good on offense. You'll see what happens with them. Green Bay finishes second because they're not going to be bad. They're just not going to be as good as Minnesota. Put Detroit in third and the Bears in last. And, the Bears may have the number 1 overall draft pick when it's all said and done at the end of this year if they can't protect Justin Fields, and I don't think they can. Over to the NFC South, Tampa Bay wins the division. New Orleans finishes second. Atlanta third. Carolina fourth. I don't think there's any surprises there. No reason to really handicap that. Wild cards in the AFC. As I told you, AFC West is going to get 3 teams in. Raiders are going to be in. KC is going to be in. Denver's going to be in. Cincinnati gets the last wild card as the defending Super Bowl, defending AFC champs. Over to the NFC, Rams get a wild card, Packers get a wild card, and Eagles get a wild card. I don't really know if the Saints are there yet. I don't trust the Saints without Sean Payton. In fact, I did an interview yesterday on New Orleans radio, and they asked me what I thought of the Saints, and I said I can't trust any Saints offense without Sean Payton calling the plays until I see otherwise. I have no idea what they're going to be. And the response was, I don't think we've talked enough about Sean Payton not being here as a problem for this team, and it is. I think it's a real problem for them. Conference champions in the AFC, I have Baltimore. In the NFC, I have San Francisco. A rematch of a Super Bowl 10 years ago between the Ravens and 49ers. And I got the Ravens coming out on top again. Ravens are my Super Bowl champ this year. So that does it for my pick of NFL teams. I'll throw all that up on Twitter today for you guys so you can see it there as well. Feel free to tweet me. Tell me I'm an idiot. Knock yourself out. It'll be a lot of fun. Coming up next, one more case for Spencer Strider to get the ball in Game 2 this postseason. I keep telling you guys, and nobody wants to listen to me. I'll try to tell you one more time. That's next. Radio on A to Z on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Welcome back to A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Search Locked On Sports Atlanta. Wrapping things up here on this Thursday. We've got some information to get to here concerning the Atlanta Braves, who are back at a first place by a half game, thanks to doubleheaders. Nonetheless, before we get to the Braves, let's hand out a shovel of wisdom.
Brace yourselves, because it's time for the shovel of wisdom.
You know how we do it every day. Set somebody straight for saying and doing something stupid, whack them right upside the head with a shovel. You can hand out a shovel of wisdom as well on my Twitter account at Mark Zinno, MarkZinno. And today my shovel goes to Doug Gottlieb. You guys know Doug Gottlieb. For the record, I think Doug Gottlieb is an excellent radio host. And I also think that he made a bad mistake in getting involved in the Freddie Freeman, Casey Close, debacle that happened with Freeman's agent and then coming back to the Braves and everything else. This is, remember when Gottlieb tweeted that Casey Close didn't bring the final offer of the Braves to Freddie Freeman. Well, Casey Close and the agency that he works for, Excel Sports Management, sued Gottlieb for libel. That case came to an end when he apologized in a statement. Excel Sports Management said in a statement, said, from the onset, we were clear Mr. Gottlieb's tweet was wholly inaccurate, and that we would seek legal remedies to set the record straight. He has retracted his statement in its entirety, acknowledged that he got the story wrong. We consider the matter closed. Gottlieb also issued a statement and tried to at least clarify where he got the information from. Part of the statement says, quote, while I always strive to report accurate information, I prematurely reported on these events and simply got it wrong. Upon further vetting of my sources, a review of the lawsuit filed against me in this matter, and a direct conversation with Casey himself, I've learned that the conduct I alleged did not occur, and that there's no credible basis for stating that it did. Okay. I mean, he apologized to Casey. Look, Doug Gottlieb did all the right things, but man, in this crazy desire world to be first instead of be right, you swing and miss like that, man, it is a black eye on you for a long time. Now, you could argue that Doug Gottlieb has suffered a string of black eyes throughout his career, and he survived them all. Good for him. Again, I think the world of Doug Gottlieb. I've met him a couple of times. I think he's a nice guy. I have nothing against him. I wish him well and continued success. And like I said, I think he's one of the better radio hosts in the country. That said, this is a gaffe, man. This is bad. If you're going to get involved in stuff like this, you better have it right. You better have it right, and he did not. All right, speaking of having things right. And so Strider, once again, proves why he is a guy who should be getting the ball in Game 2 of the Major League Baseball playoffs. And yesterday's start might have been better than his 16 strikeout performance from a start ago. You know, when you have your best stuff, you're mowing guys down, you make it look easy. It sort of is. It's when you don't have your best stuff and you have to fight through starts, that's when you really prove who you are. Like, this was told to me a long time ago about baseball. You know, a pitcher is going to make 30 starts in a year. That's about average, right, on a 5-man rotation. Make about 30 or 32 starts a year if you stay healthy the entire year. You're going to have 5 starts where you're completely unhittable. You're going to have 5 starts where you're complete mush and you're just getting banged around. The other 20 starts in between decide the difference between Cy Young and down to the minors. It's that simple. How do you battle in those starts where you don't have your best stuff and you're not utterly dominant the way you are when you strike out 16 guys? Well, Spencer Strider proved that last night, or yesterday afternoon, I should say. And of course, you guys know I've been on the Strider bandwagon for a while now, and I have had my fair share of detractors who have told me that I'm being crazy, that he shouldn't be in front of Wright, who was a, quote, 20-game winner at some point this year, shouldn't be in front of Morton because he doesn't have the experience, blah, 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 blah. What he did yesterday was exactly what the stuff that Cy Young Award winners do. Spencer Strider had a rough start. He walked 3 guys in the first inning, gave up a double, gave up 2 runs. And I got the text immediately from a colleague of mine in the business. You watching this? And I didn't even, it took me a second when he said, you watching this, to think about what else I thought. He's in a day game today. And then I immediately remembered Strider was starting, and I knew exactly what he was talking about. I didn't even respond. I waited. I'm going to go back. I think I waited like 4 or 5 hours. No, it was more than that. It was over an hour. Yeah, he texted me at like 4:04, and then I texted him at 5:22. And when he said, you watching this, I responded back. I said, yeah, 5 innings, 1 hit, 8 Ks. I'm watching you. Much better than your, quote, 20-game winner from last night. He wasn't happy with me. He told me I couldn't wait over an hour to bleeping respond. when he couldn't throw a strike in the first inning. No. And Strider even said it last night after the game, quote, I think this is probably the start I'm going to be most proud of so far. Yeah, it damn was. You regrouped. You shut everybody down. You struck out 9. You threw 6 innings, got a quality start, and then your team won the game. Hello. Hello. At one point, he retired 15 in a row. That is what you need in the playoffs. The ability to resettle yourself, calm down, focus, and get guys out. Because guess what? You're going to struggle against guys in the postseason. At times, it's going to happen. They're going to have your number. They're going to be able to hit you, even though I don't think Strider's hittable at this point. That said, this was one of the most impressive outings that this young man has had all year long. Took him 37 pitches to get to the first inning. Took him 67 to get over the next 5 scoreless. That is the stuff that playoff starters are made of. Again, I said last time, I'll say it again. I don't know what more convincing you need about Spencer Strider. What possibly more evidence could you need that he is the guy that gets the ball in game 2? I don't want to hear about 20-game wins. I don't want to hear about experience. The guy who's got the stuff is the second best pitcher on the staff with the best stuff on the staff. And even at that, he might have the best stuff in Major League Baseball right now. That's how good he is. And for those of you old enough to remember, this is Doc Gooden in 1984 reincarnated. Go back and look at the numbers. Go back and watch the YouTube clips if you don't know about that level of dominance, but that's what this is. That's what this is. And the guy deserves to get the ball in game 2. There's no debate on it anymore, and there shouldn't be. What he did yesterday was the stuff that Cy Young Award winners do on a routine basis, and that is the difference between him and Morton, and him and Wright. Good pitchers, tough pitchers, not Cy Young level. He never will be. Strider is. That'll do it for us today here on A to Z. Back tomorrow recapping. Oh, by the way, before we get out of here, only bet for tonight, Thursday Night Football. Take the Rams in a teaser, plus 8.5. Bills are way too public. I think that's the right side, but it's way too public for me to back, so I'm not going to do it. Put the Rams in a teaser with somebody else, whether it's the Vikings, whether it's if you want to tease the Bengals down to a 0.5 point, or even the Ravens, tease them down to a 1-point favorite against the Jets. So that's the play for tonight. Back tomorrow. You guys have a great Thursday. Don't forget to craft from anybody. See you.